Deho. Jai Go. Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Pranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Praptasya Kalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Praptasya Kalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Mahaprabhu ki Tana Nitya Gita Vaditramadhyam Manasurasenam Mahaprabhu Gita Romanchakam Pasru Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanara Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringaratanma Diramajan Nado Shri Vigrahara Nana Yuktasya Bhaktamsa Niyonjatapi Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Niyonjatapi Vande Guru Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Satana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Satana Triptan Kritaiva Tripte Bhajata Shadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Bhajata Shadeva Shiradikama Dabayara Para Madhura Lila Gunarupa Namna Shiradikama Madhura Lila Gunarupa Namna pratikshana swadanalopasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. Danalopasya vande guru shri charana ne kunja yuno rati kerisidhai jayali bheri yukte apekshaniya ne kunja yuno siddhai jayali bheri tatrati daksha atibalabhasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. Atibalabhasya Sakshat dharitena Shamasta shashrei Uktastatha Bhavyataiva sadhubhi Sakya dharitena Shamasta shashrei Uktastatha Kintu prabhorja priya eva tasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. Priya eva tasya vande guru shri yasya prasada bhagavat prasado yasya prasadam nagati kutapi yasya prasada bhagavat prasado yasya prasadam dayam stuvam stasya yashastin sandhyam vande guru shri charanarvindam. Satisnanda dayam stuvam stasya yashastin sandhyam vande guru shri charanarvindam. Yashastin sandhyam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Nama Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitina Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravane Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Pachatari Shatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracha Nirvishesha Shunavadi Pachatari Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Hariyaraye Namah Krishna Jadavaye Namah Yadavaye Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govindaram Shrimadusudam Giridhari Gopina Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhattaraguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Shri Radha, Nila Madhava Radha, Nila Madhava Radhe. Jaya Jagana, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra. Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Nitai Gaura Pramanande, Haribo. Jai Vishnu Paraparam Saprabhaja Kacharya Sittara Sarati Shivat. Iskon Pratishta Viviti Samstapa Kacharya Vaishnav Siramani Gaura Priyajana. Krishna Prema Bhakti Datta Patita Pavana Divine Grace. Abhacharavina Bhakti Viranta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ji Ki Jai. Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patita Udhara Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Jiva Gopal Bhakta Das Guna Sat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ji Ki Jai. Jayananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Prem Si Kaho Si Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Param Dayal Se Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Premanama Sankirtane Ka Janaka Prema Purushottama Shri Sachinandana Shman Gauranga Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaur Hari Mahavranavatar Ki Jai Golokera Pramadhana Hari Nam Sankirtan Jaga Ki Jai Jugo Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Brihat Danga 29 book distribution Seva Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina Radha Kund Samakund Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrajabhumbrindavan Mathurudam Ki Jai Fellowship Shri Radha Nilamadhava Ki Jai Shri Mayapurna Dip Eka Chakradam Ki Jai Parama Karuna Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Shri Purushottama Kitra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Swami Baladevi Prabhu Smasvadra Devi Svasan Chakra Bhagavan Ki Jai Bhakti Sarva Vigna Vinashana Kanu Shingare Bhagavan Ki Jai Jaganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Vrindi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Bolo Shrimati Radharani Ki Jai Shamaveta Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Nitai Gaurari Pramanandi. All glories to the Assembly bodies, all glories to the Assembly bodies, all glories to the Assembly bodies, all glories to Shri Guru Shri Gaura. Hari Gaura.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लादलाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः शीलटङ्कानकालये इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहिर्नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरेणकाम् अर्बुदशृङ्गां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपो तनुभृङ्गां केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तनुभृङ्गां केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल भक्ति विघ्न विनाशक लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय।
Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namaha. Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namaha. Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Radha Krishna Seva Pavo E Abhilasi. Je tumhara sharan loy tara vancha purna hoy. Kripa kori koro thare Vrindavan bhasi. Mora e abhilas Bilas kunjay diya vas. Nayane heri bosara Jugala ruparasi. Any vedhana dharo Sakiranugata koro. Seva adhikara diye koro nijadasi. Dina Krishna dasi koi Eyina mora hoy. Shri Radha Govinda preme Sadayina bhasi. Shri Radha Govinda preme Sadayina bhasi. Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyari kani cha Tani tani pranakshanti Pradakshinam pare pare. यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मचर्यानि च तानि तानि प्रदक्षन्ते प्रदक्षिणं परे परे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मचर्यानि च तानि तानि प्रदक्षन्ते प्रदक्षिणं परे परे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi Jaya, Tulsi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi. Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi Jaya, Tulsi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai.
Krishna praise. May I always sing in love, Shri Radha Govind. Shri Mati Tulsi Maharani Brindadevi Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shikhastakam Ki Jai. Chaito Darpanam Marjanam. Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Sadhanam Sarvatmasnam Param Param Vijayati Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Vaudha Nija Sarva Shakti Satratita Niyamita Shmarane Nakala Itadrisitava Kripaya Bhagavan Mamapi Durdhaivam idrishamyajani nanuragaha Trinadapi sunichena Tarorapi sahishnuna Amanina manadena Kirtaniya sadahari Na dhanam na janam na sundarim Kavitamba jagarishakamaye Mama janmane janmaneshware Bhavatar bhakti rahituki tvai Oinanda tanuja kinkaram Paritamam vishame bhavam buddho Kripaya tava para pankaja Stitaduli sadrisham vichintaya Nayanam galora shrudharaya Vadanam gadagadharudhaya gira Pulakai rinchitam vapukada Tavanama grahane bhavishyati Jugaitam nimishena Chakyusha pravrusayitam Shunyaitam jagat sarvam Govinda virahena me Aslishva padaratam pinashtumam Adarshanar marmahatam karotuva Jata tathava vidadatulam patu Matpranastastu saivana para Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Kyastakam Ki Jai Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tvishena Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shmati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devam Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishisha Shunavari Bhashatyadi Shatarine. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life or repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays, the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself a Lord and strolling the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all signs of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause of devotional service to birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me out from this ocean of death and place me upon the islands of your Holy Spirit. O my Lord, open my eyes to behold the tears of love flowing down to me and singing holy name. Open my voice to God, and the head of my body sing. Just as you bless me, O Govinda,
considering the moment to be like 12 years from now. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling. He is completely free to do anything, everything. Free is my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Siksastakam Ki. Namo Om Vishnu Namaste. The blasphemous devotees who dedicate their lives to propagating holy names of the Lord. Gods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to and independent names of Lord Vishnu, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master, to blaspheme the Vedic literature, or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna as imagination, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord, to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Consider chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruit of activities of karma kanda, to instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name, to have complete faith in chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions in this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto the Lord. They are just like desired trees that can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Sakalpadirabhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Vaishnava Thakur ki jai. Namo Om Vishnu Pada Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Swanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Vaishnava Devi Sesa Vaskati Sita Shri Guru Pranama Prayers Ki Jai. Om Aganya Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Pachakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Ragunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Saidvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pradam Sahaguna Lalita Shri Vishaka Nivitam Sha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Sarvabhakdeve Guruvani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Vasavanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhur Ujjvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhakti Da Shri Gora Karuna Sakti Vigrahaya Namastate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Apasiddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gora Kishwaraya Shasharvairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Padambajayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitanandanamine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Gavurayate Gauravir Baba Bhumestvam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Sri Jantayate Namaha Namo Maha Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Vano Namaha Namo Mahabodhanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guru Chuse Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhakta Akyam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Namaste, Gopisha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Jayatam Suratur Pangur, Mama Manda Mater Gati, Matsarva Swapadam Bojo, Radha Madana Mohana, Divya Vindaranya Kalpradumada, Hashimad Ratnagara Simhasanastito, Shimad Radha Shilu Govinda Devo, Prestali Bihi Sevyamanus Marami, Shiman Rasa Rasaram Bivam Sivata Tatastita, Karsan Venus Vanir Gopir, Gopinatak Striyestuna, Tapta Kanchana Gurangi, Radhe Rinda Vinishwari, Rishabhanu Stute Devi Pranamami, Hari Priye, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Brahmasmita Ki Jai Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadi Radhe Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakrata Sadmasakalpa Vriksha Laksha Vrite Susuravira Vipaliantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambrahma Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Gwanandam Aravenda Dalayataksam Barhavatam Samasidam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Sobham Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kalasadvana Madhyavam Siratnam Ganam Pranaya Keli Kalavilasam Shamam Tribanga Lalita Nita Prakasam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purisham Navayovanam Cha Vedesa Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastukoti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayoratami Manaso Muripungamanam Sopyastiyat Prabhadasimya Savichintitatve Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sora Chayatam Jagadanda Kotim Yaschaktirasti Jagananda Chayayanta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Bhava Bhavita Dio Manajasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusa Suktarya Meva Nigama Pratitaistavanti Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Abhis Tavirya Eva Nijarupa Tayakala Bigoloka Eva Nivasata Kilatma Bhuto Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Deva Yadesu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Sukala Nimyatistam Nana Avataram Akarod Bhuvanesu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramam Pumamyo Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagananta Koti Koti Svasesa Vasutadi Vibhuti Benam Tad Brahmaniskalam Anantam Asesa Bhutam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Mayahi Yasya Jagadanda Satani Sute Trigun Yatad Visaya Vida Vitaya Mano Satvavalambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Matayamana Suya Praninam Pratifalam Smaratam Upetya Lila Yatena Bhavanani Jaya Jasram Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Goloka Namni Nichitamni Tale Chatasya Devi Mahesa Ridama Sute Sutesu Tete Prabhavani Jaya Vitasya Yena Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Sustistati Pralaya Sadhava Sakti Reka Jaya Vyasya Bhuvanani Vivarti Durga Ichana Rupam Abhyasya Chesta Tesa Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Visesa Yoga Sanjayate Naitata Pritakaste Hetu Yasam Bhutama Pitata Samapaitikariya Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Diparcharev Hita Santanam Abhyupetya Dipayate Vita Hetu Samanudharma Yastadri Gevi Hitcha Vishnu Tayabhibhate Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yakarna Narna Vajale Bhajtisma Yoga Nidram Ananta Jagananda Saroma Kupa Adhara Shaktim Avalambya Paramsma Murtim Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yashaika Nishvasita Kalamatavalamya Jivanti Loma Villaja Jagananda Nata Vishnu Mahansa Yasya Kalavi Sesha Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Basman Yatasma Sakalation Ejesa Tejas Viyam Kiyat Prakatiyat Apitat Pradat Pramaya Yesha Jagananda Vidana Karta Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Pada Palava Yugam Vinadaya Kumbadwande Pranama Samayesa Ganadi Raja Vignam Hantam Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govinda Madipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Agni Mahika Ganamambu Marudisa Shakalasta Tatmaman Siti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Visanti Ancha Govinda Madipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Yas Chaksuresa Sabita Shakalagrahanam Raja Samasta Surmurtira Zaisiteja Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kalachakro Govinda Madipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmota Papa Nichaya Srutayastapam Se Brahmadi Kita Patagava Deyasta Jiva Yadata Matari Bhava Prakadapa Bhava Govinda Madipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Strinda Gopa Matavenda Mahoswa Karma Bandhana Rupa Falabhaja Matamoti Karmani Nirdhati Kintuja Bhakti Bhajam Govinda Madipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Krodha Kamasa Japranayadi Bitti Vatsalya Moha Gurgora Vasavya Bhava Sanchinti Tasya Sadvisantanam Apurite Govinda Madipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravo Drumabu Mishchintamani Kanama Ituem Amritam Kataganam Natyam Gamanam Apivam Sipriyasaki Chiranandam Jyoti Parama Pitata Swadyam Apichasa Yatra Shirade Bihisha Vidisurabi Vyascha Suma Nimesa Dakyova Vajiti Nahiyatra Bisamaya Bhajisrita Dvipram Tamaham Ihil Gola Kamiti Yam Vedanta Station Takshati Viracha Rakatipa Shri Guru Vastika prayers, Kijay. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as the cloud pours water on the forest fire to extinguish it. So the spiritual master delivers in the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. Or from my respectful base unto the lotus feet, as such spiritual master is an ocean of auspicious qualities. Chanting the holy name, dancing next to singing and playing musical instruments. The spiritual master is always gladdened by the sanctified movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind. Sometimes his hair stands on end. He feels quivering in his body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves. However, from my respectful base unto the lotus feet is such spiritual master. The spiritual master is always engaged in temple worship of Shishya Radha, and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. There's beautiful clothes and ornaments and clean the temple. They perform other similar worship of the Lord. From my respectful base, not the lotus feet is such spiritual master. The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzes that which is liquid, junk, and stock. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasada, he is satisfied off my respectful base, not the lotus feet. Such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastime of Radhika and Madhava and their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment. Or from my respectful basis, not the lotus feet is such spiritual master. The spiritual master is very dear because he's expert in assisting gopis who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal love and grace within the groves of Vrindavan. Or from my most humble basis, not the lotus feet is such spiritual master. Spiritual master is to be honored as much as Supreme Lord because he's the most confidential servant to the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, from my respectful basis, unto lotus feet is such spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Shri Hare Krishna. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master. At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful basis unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, his divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraja Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, Chapter 4, text number 33. Viduropi Udavach Chutva Krishnasya Paramatmanaha Kridayo Patadehasya Karmanhi Slaghitani cha Vidura, Api, also, Udavat, from the source of Vidura, Sritva, having heard, Krishnasya, of Lord Krishna, Paramatmana, of the super soul, Kridaya, for the sake of pastimes in the mortal world, Upata, extraordinarily accepted, Dehasya, of the body, Karmani, transcendental activities, Slaghitani, most glorious, Cha, also. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Vidura also heard from Uddhava about the appearance and disappearance of Lord Krishna, the Supersoul, in the material world, which is a subject matter sought after with great perseverance by the great sages. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The subject matter of the appearance and disappearance of the Super Soul, Lord Sri Krishna, is a mystery, even for the great sages. The word Paramatmana is significant in this verse. An ordinary living being is generally called the Atma, but Lord Krishna is never an ordinary living being because he is Paramatma, the Supersoul. Yet his appearance as one of the human beings and his disappearance again from the mortal world are subject matters for the research workers who execute research work with great perseverance. Such subject matters are certainly of increasing interest because the researchers have to search out the transcendental abode of the Lord, which he enters after finishing his pastimes in the mortal world. But even the great sages have no information that beyond the material sky is the spiritual sky, where Sri Krishna eternally resides with his associates, although at the same time he exhibits his pastimes in the mortal world in all the universes, one after another. This fact is confirmed in Brahma Samhita 5:37. Goloka eva nivasata kilatma bhuta. The Lord, by his inconceivable potency, resides in his eternal abode, Goloka, yet at the same time, as the Super Soul, he is present everywhere, in both the spiritual and material skies, by his multi-varieties of manifestation. Therefore, his appearance and disappearance are simultaneously going on, and no one can say definitely which of them is the beginning and which is the end. His eternal pastimes have no beginning or end, and one has to learn of them from the pure devotee only and not waste valuable time in so-called research work. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vidura also heard from Uddhava about the appearance and disappearance of Lord Krishna, the Super Soul, in the mortal world, which is a subject matter sought after with great perseverance by the great sages. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So again, it's mentioning in the purport that the subject matter of the appearance and disappearance of the Super Soul, Lord Sri Krishna, is a mystery, even for the great sages. So the fact that it's a mystery is because the great sages or other so-called authorities are speculating. They don't have genuine knowledge because they refuse to receive it through the parampara system. And they want to use their own mental gymnastics to understand. So this is further explained in the 10th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, verse number 2, Name vidu suragana prabhavana maharshina maharshaya aham adir hidevanam maharshinam chasarvasaha. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and the sages. So here Krishna is clearly saying that the demigods don't understand him. What about the mundane scientists and philosophers understanding him? There's no chance at all. Why? Because they're using speculation as their way of trying to figure things out. Just like Darwin. Darwin wrote that that speculation. He actually said that he had the license to speculate about the origin of species. That's why he got it all wrong. And speculation is not allowed in the Vedic tradition. What is allowed is Arohapanta. There's Arohapanta and Avarohapanta. So descending knowledge. Krishna originally speaks Bhagavad Gita, and he speaks the 4 nutshell verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then his pure devotees expand what he said. And so Krishna is the original speaker of all knowledge. So therefore, this disciplic succession is based on pure devotees who repeat what Krishna says and who are inspired by Krishna to expand what he says, and with bona fide knowledge based on shastric evidence. So, therefore, it's impossible for the mundane scientists and philosophers and so-called religionists to understand the spiritual world and the transcendental activities taking place there. And it's a mystery to them. Why is it a mystery? Because of several points. Number one, Krishna has unlimited potencies or powers. This is something they reject. Number two, he can engage in mutually contradictory activities at the same time. This is impossible for them to understand. And number three, he is not in any way limited. He can do anything he wants. And this is incomprehensible to the mundane wranglers or mundane speculators. Okay, so Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, verse number 2, it says, Aham adirhi devanam harsinam sasarva saha. Because Krishna is the origin of the demigods and the great sages, therefore, name vidu suragana prabhavana maharshina. Neither the hosts of the demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences. So then, if such great sages and demigods don't know Krishna, then how can we know Krishna? Well, this is explained in the purport. It says, as stated in the Brahma Samhita, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. No one is greater than him. He is the cause of all causes. Here, it is also stated by the Lord personally that he is the cause of all the demigods and sages. So, Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Nadiraja Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. That means that Ishwara Parama Krishna, the supreme, absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is Krishna. And this is spoken by Brahma. So why is this Brahma Samhita so important? Because Brahma was given the eyes to see Krishna, just like Krishna gives the eyes to Arjuna to see his universal form. Krishna gave the eyes to Brahma to see the spiritual world. Brahma is in the material world. He's the first living entity born in the material world. But because Brahma followed Krishna's instructions and engaged in very long and severe tapasya, Krishna was pleased with him, and therefore he gave him the eyes to see certain things in the spiritual world. That's what the Brahma Samhita is. As soon as it says Chintamani Prakadasad Masukalpa Riksha Laksha Vrite Susurabir Abhipaliyantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambhrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Krananda Ravinda Dalayataksam Bharavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Pakoti Kamaniya Visesha Sobam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahma is seeing these things. We are seeing the spiritual world through the eyes of Brahma when we're hearing and reading the Brahma Samhita. These are things he's actually seeing because Krishna blessed him with the vision of the spiritual world. And then ultimately, when it says Pramanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksadeva Hidesa Vilokayate Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami. That means I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shama Sundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. That means Brahma is actually seeing Krishna. You see. Today when I was thinking about this, I suddenly realized, wait a minute, he's only describing what he's seeing. You see. Because he's been given the eyes to see this. This is transcendental vision. And this is explained by Prabhupada. By the way, every one of us has the potential to be able to see like Brahma. and this is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, first Adi Leela, 5th chapter, verse 21. And it says, I get so many notes, sometimes I get lost finding them. Yeah. So it says there, one second. Okay, it's not that. Okay, it says, interesting. Anyway, it says that in let me look it up on my phone. Look up Chaitanya Charitamrita 1:5:21. Read this. Yeah, read the second paragraph. The second paragraph. No, it has a purport. Okay, what does it say? The second paragraph. Can you read it? Yeah, what's it say? The second paragraph.
Srimad Bhagavatam second canto states that in Vaikuntha Loka, the material modes of nature represented by the qualities of goodness, passion and ignorance have no influence. In the material world, the highest qualitative manifestation is goodness, which is characterized by truthfulness, mental equilibrium, cleanliness, control of the senses, simplicity, essential knowledge, faith in God, scientific knowledge, and so on. Nevertheless, all these qualities are mixed with passion and imperfection. But the qualities in Vaikuntha are a manifestation of God's internal potency, and therefore they are pure spiritual and transcendental, with no trace of material infection. No material planet, even Satyaloka, is comparable in quality to the spiritual planets, where the five inherent qualities of the material world, namely ignorance, misery, egoism, anger, and envy, are completely absent. The third paragraph. In the material world, everything is a creation. Anything we can think of within our experience, including even our own bodies and minds, were created. This process of creation began with the life of Brahma, and the creative principle is prevalent all over the material universe because of the quality of passion. But since the quality of passion is conspicuous by its absence in the Vaikuntha planets, nothing there is created. Everything there is eternally existent. And because there is no mode of ignorance, and there is also no question of annihilation or destruction. In the material world, one may try to make everything permanent by developing the above mentioned qualities of goodness. But because the goodness in the material world is mixed with passion and ignorance, nothing here can also exist permanently, despite all the good plans of the best scientific brains. Therefore, in the material world, we have no experience of eternity, bliss, and full of knowledge. But in the spiritual world, because of the complete absence of the qualitative modes, eternally everything is eternal, blissful, and cognizant.
Everything can speak, everything can move, everything can hear, everything can see in fully blessed existence for eternity. The situation being so, naturally space and time in the forms of past, present and future have no influence there. In the spiritual sky there is no change because time has no influence. Consequently, the influence of Maya, the total external energy which induces us to become more and more materialistic and forget our relationship with God, is also absent there.
Okay, so actually, let's go to Brahmasamhita 5:38. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. So it says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shamsundara, Krishna himself with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. So the pure devotees are actually seeing Krishna through their heart. It's just like an internal television. We spoke about this a little bit yesterday. Now in the purport, it says, the Shamsundar form of Krishna is his inconceivable, simultaneous, personal and impersonal, self-contradictory form. True devotees see that form in their purified hearts under the influence of devotional trance. So this is something that is mysterious, it's incomprehensible to materialistic people, but it is possible for everyone if they become pure devotees and have no more material desires, simply the desires to please Krishna. The form Shama is not the blue color visible in the mundane world, but is the transcendental variegated color affording eternal bliss and is not visible to the mortal eye. So you can't see Krishna with our material eyes. On a consideration of the trance of Vyasadeva, as in the sloka Bhakti Yogena Manasi, etc., it will be clear that the form of Sri Krishna is the full personality of Godhead and can only be visible in the heart of a true devotee, which is the only true seat in the state of trance under the influence of devotion. So we see it is impossible for the materialist to see Krishna. It is possible for pure devotees who are have complete unalloyed love for Krishna to see him on a regular basis, every day, all day and all night long, through their heart, because the super soul is in the heart and is the source of all knowledge. So one who is engaged always in devotional service without fail becomes a pure devotee, and then their spiritual senses become active. Normally, right now, our spiritual senses are not active, they're covered by the body. But when the body is fully engaged in Krishna's service, then the spiritual senses become activated. And what happens, just like Brahma is seeing the spiritual world, we also can see the spiritual world all the time and see what Krishna is doing. And this is further explained in the third canto, 28th chapter, verse number 18, where it says, the glory of the Lord is always worth singing, for his glories enhance the glories of his devotees. One should therefore meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead and upon his devotees. One should meditate on the eternal form of the Lord until the mind becomes fixed. Wow. That's why coming to the temple and seeing Radha and Krishna is very important. We want to fix that image of Radha and Krishna in our mind. So what happens? In the purport, Prabhupada explains, one has to fix his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. When one is accustomed to thinking of one of the innumerable forms of the Lord, meaning either Krishna or Vishnu or Rama or Narayana, etc., that devotee has reached the perfection of yoga. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. A person who has developed pure love for the Lord and whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of transcendental loving exchange. So this is the verse 538, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, okay? This is no alternate translation of it. Whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of transcendental loving exchange. So that means that the cataract of the eye is melted by tears of love that devotees have, thinking of Krishna and engaging in Krishna's service and feeling the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who's given us the opportunity, this unbelievable opportunity of being able to understand our relationship with Krishna and to understand who Krishna is. The devotees especially see the Lord in the beautiful blackish form of Shama Sundara. That is the perfection of yoga. This yoga system should be continued until the mind does not vacillate for a moment. In other words, until the mind never goes away from thinking about Krishna. We should continue engaging in bhakti yoga until we get to the point where we don't even think of anything else. We're just thinking of Krishna all the time. This yoga system should be continued until the mind does not vacillate for a moment. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sadapasyanti Suraya. The form of Vishnu is the highest individuality and is always visible to sages and saintly persons. The same purpose is served when a devotee worships the form of the Lord in a temple. There is no difference between the devotional service in the temple and meditation on the form of the Lord, since the form of the Lord is the same whether he appears within the mind or in some concrete element. There are 8 kinds of forms recommended for the devotees to see. The forms may be made out of sand, clay, wood, or stone. They may be contemplated within the mind or made of jewels, metal, or painted colors. But all the forms are of the same value. It is not that one who meditates on the form within the mind sees differently from one who worships the form in the temple. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is absolute, and there is therefore no difference between the two. The impersonalists who desire to disregard the eternal form of the Lord imagine some round figure. They especially prefer the Omkara, which also has form. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that Omkara is the letter form of the Lord. Similarly, there are statue forms and painting forms of the Lord. Another significant word in this verse is Punya Sloka Yasas Karam. The devotee is called Punya Sloka, as one becomes purified by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So one can become purified simply by chanting the name of a holy devotee. The pure devotee of the Lord and the Lord himself are non-different. It is sometimes feasible to chant the name of a holy devotee. This is a very sanctified process. Lord Chaitanya was once chanting the holy names of the gopis when his students criticized him. Why you are chanting the names of the gopis? Why not Krishna? Lord Chaitanya was irritated by the criticism, and so there was some misunderstanding between him and his students. He wanted to chastise them for desiring to instruct him on the transcendental process of chanting. The beauty of the Lord is that the devotees who are connected with his activities are also glorified. Arjuna, Prahlada, Janaka Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, and many other devotees were not even in the renounced order of life, but were householders. Some of them, such as Prahlada Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, were born of demoniac families. Prahlad Maharaj's father was a demon, and Bali Maharaja was the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, but still they have become famous because of their association with the Lord. Anyone who is eternally associated with the Lord is glorified with the Lord. The conclusion is that a perfect yogi should always be accustomed to seeing the form of the Lord, and unless the mind is fixed in that way, he should continue practicing yoga. Yoga meaning bhakti yoga. Okay, so here it says that the purport to the Brahma Samhita, text number 38. The Sham Sundara form of Krishna is his inconceivable, simultaneous, personal and impersonal, self-contradictory form. Right there, that eliminates all the speculators. They can't imagine that someone can be personal and impersonal at the same time and also manifest self-contradictory form. True devotees see that form in their purified hearts under the influence of devotional trance. The form Shama is not the blue color visible in the mundane world, but is the transcendental variegated color affording eternal bliss and is not visible to the mortal eye. On a consideration of the trance of Vyasadeva, as in the sloka, Bhakti Yogena Manasi, Vyasadeva saw Krishna, and behind Krishna he saw Maya. So he also saw Krishna because he was a pure devotee, and he had spiritual vision. His spiritual senses became activated because of his purity and engagement in devotional service. So it says, it will be clear that the form of Sri Krishna is the full personality of Godhead and can only be visible in the heart of a true devotee, which is the only true seat in the state of trance under the influence of devotion. When Krishna manifested himself in Vraja, both the devotees and the non-devotees saw him with this very eye, but only the devotees cherished him, eternally present in Vraja as the priceless jewel of their heart. So, when Krishna was present 5,000 years ago, many people saw him, but only devotees were able to understand who he was. And there were just a few devotees that understood who he was. It's not like millions of devotees, right? Nowadays, also, the devotees see him in Vraja in their hearts, saturated with devotion, although they do not see him with their eyes. Oh, this is another concept. The eye of devotion is nothing but the eye of the pure, unalloyed spiritual self of the jiva. The form of Krishna is visible to that eye in proportion to its purification by the practice of devotion. When the devotion of the neophyte reaches the stage of bhava bhakti, the pure eye of that devotee is tinged with the salve of love by the grace of Krishna. Salve is something you put on your skin or your eye to get rid of an infection, right? S-A-L-V-E. So that salve is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Right? When the devotion of the neophyte reaches the stage of bhava bhakti, that's right before prema, the pure eye of that devotee is tinged with the salve of love by the grace of Krishna, which enables him to see Krishna face to face. The phrase, in their hearts, means Krishna is visible in proportion as their hearts are purified by the practice of devotion. The sum and substance of this sloka is that the form of Krishna, who is Sham Sundar, Natavara, best dancer, Muralidhara, holder of the flute, and Tribhanga, triple bending, is not a mental concoction, but is transcendental and is visible with the eye of the soul of the devotee under trance. Wow, amazing purport. Okay, so that means each one of us has a possibility of accessing this transcendental vision by engaging wholeheartedly in devotional service until we come to the point where we are only thinking of Krishna all the time. All the other material desires are no longer present. They might be there in the material world, but now we've become totally immersed in thinking of Krishna, and we're not interested in them anymore. They're erased from our mind. At that point, we develop what's called the eye of devotion, and we begin to see Krishna all the time, and with all his variegated activities in the spiritual world. So we never get tired seeing Krishna. Okay, so what is the mystery then? The mystery is that we develop this power, this purification through devotional service, and then we're able to access Krishna through the heart 24 hours a day. And this is explained, and we've already read it once, in the second canto, 9th chapter, 35th verse. And it says, where Prabhupada quotes, Ananda chinmaya rasa patibhavita abhista birya evani jirupataya kalabi goloka evani visata kilatma bhuto govindam adipurisham tamaham bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead, Govinda, who, by expansion of his internal potency of transcendental existence, knowledge, and bliss, enjoys in his own and expanded forms, simultaneously he enters into every atom of the creation. So this is the vision of Brahma. He's seeing this, and he's just describing what he's seeing. This expansion of his plenary parts, is a purport. This expansion of his plenary parts, meaning Krishna's plenary parts, is also more definitely explained in the same Brahma Samhita 535. Ekop yaso rachayatam jagaranda kotim, yas chaktirasti jagaranda chaya yadanta, adantarasta paramanu chayantarastam, govindam adipurisham tamaham bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead Govinda, who, by one of his plenary portions, enters into the existence of every universe and every particle of the atoms, and thus unlimitedly manifests his infinite energy all over the material creation. So Krishna enters into the material world and into every atom and in the heart of every living entity. So, then it says, the impersonalist can imagine or even perceive that the Supreme Brahman is thus all-pervading. Okay, so they can imagine it, and they can maybe even see the Brahman effulgence and being present everywhere. And it is present everywhere in the spiritual world and the material world. And therefore they conclude that there's no possibility of Krishna having a personal form. Herein lies the mystery of his transcendental knowledge. You see, he can be both personal and impersonal at the same time. This is mysterious. This is inconceivable to the Mayavadis and to the atheists. This mystery is transcendental love of Godhead. And one who is surcharged with such transcendental love of Godhead can without difficulty see the personality of Godhead in every atom and every movable or immovable object. So this is 2nd Canto, 9th chapter, 35th verse. This is the second verse of the Chaturshloki, or the 4 nutshell verses of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? And at the same time, he can see the personality of Godhead in his own abode, Goloka. Just like Brahma is seeing Krishna in Goloka, and he's describing what he's seeing in the Brahma Samhita. So, therefore, this is the mystery. When one develops transcendental love for Krishna, one's spiritual senses become active, and he's able to see Krishna always in his heart. This mystery is the most confidential part of the knowledge of the Supreme, and it is impossible for the mental speculators to discover by dint of intellectual gymnastics. The mystery can be revealed through the process recommended by Brahmaji in his Brahma Samhita 538, Pramanjana Bhakti Vilochanena. When we engage in devotional service, and we get to the point where we ecstatically shed tears of love for Krishna, at that point we develop our spiritual senses become active, and we have spiritual eyes, we have spiritual tongue, we have spiritual skin, we have spiritual ears, we have spiritual nose, right? So now, with these spiritual senses, we can actually see Krishna. Okay? Therefore, although he is present in every atom, the Supreme Personality of Godhead may not be visible to dry speculators. Still, the mystery is unfolded before the eyes of the pure devotees, because their eyes are anointed with love of Godhead. So that's the whole point. This is a different type of education. It's not based on tests and studying and writing papers and this thing and that thing that they do in school. This is different. This is simply engaging in devotional service, whether you're literate or illiterate, it doesn't matter. But you gradually become purified of all material desires, and you replace them with only desires to please Krishna, and you engage in Krishna's devotional service, serving his, let's say, comfort, offering arti, offering food, bathing him, clothing him, all these wonderful activities of being a pujari of the Lord. All of a sudden, you develop this internal television access. And now you're seeing Krishna all the time in his Shyam Sundar form, engaging in these transcendental pastimes with his devotees in the spiritual world. The vision of the devotees is not ordinary. It is purified by the process of devotional service. In other words, as the universal elements are both within and without, similarly, the Lord's name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, etc., as they are described in the revealed scriptures, or as performed in the Vaikuntha Lokas, far, far beyond the material cosmic manifestation, are factually being televised in the heart of the devotee. Factually being televised in the heart of the devotee. The man with a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand, although by material science one can see things far away by means of television. Yeah, they have television. They have a mechanical means of seeing things very, very far away and experiencing things with their eyes and mind from very far away. But when they hear about this internal connection to Krishna, they don't believe it. Although they are seeing television and seeing things that are very far away. You see how incomprehensible, how contradictory it is. They refuse to accept that they have this internal network to Krishna, and they say it's not possible. But yet, when they watch television, they're seeing things very far away coming to them, right? The man with a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand, although by material science one can see things far away by means of television. Factually, the spiritually developed person is able to have the television of the kingdom of God always reflected within his heart. That is the mystery of knowledge of the personality of Godhead. So eventually, you can develop this television of the kingdom of God. It's right there in your heart because of Paramatma. Okay, so we'll stop right there. Are there any questions? So this idea of the television within the heart is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's explained in Bhagavad Gita, and explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But you would have to read carefully to pick it up. Even if you read it once, you can go past it and not really know what it's actually saying. But when you see it in Brahma Samhita, in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, and also Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's saying the same thing, all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, this is extremely important. It's of utmost importance. That's it. So any questions?
So Maharaj, it's guaranteed in the sense that it's still the mercy of the Lord, this vision.
Yeah, it's not a mechanical system. Krishna has to choose you, not the, and it's not because you mechanically chant your rounds. You have to actually attain love for Krishna for this to happen. And the symptom is you can't think of anything else but Krishna. You can still function in the world. You have many people in this world thinking 24 hours a day of how to make money, or 24 hours a day about sports, or 24 hours a day about sex, but still they're functioning, right? They have families, they go to work, they come home, but they're always thinking of one thing, right? It could be making money, it could be sports. There's one boy used to work in Uncle Harry's. The whole time he was working, he had a little radio, and he'd be listening to sports news. And he'd take that radio with him in his car, and then he'd take it to his house. He was always listening, because you have 24 hours channels, sports, 24-hour movies, 24-hour purchases of different goods and services, 24-hour weather, 24-hour news, 24-hour news. And so it is possible to be thinking of something 24 hours a day, but still functioning in the world. So they prove it, because why do they have 24-hour stations with news? And because people are interested in it. They want to hear as much as they can get. So when a devotee is 24 hours a day thinking of Krishna, then he gets, Krishna blesses him with this internal vision of the Lord 24 hours a day. Okay, well, we'll stop right there. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We'll talk about this some more.
So maybe one question for tomorrow, Maharaj, is like the
What?
difference between this antardarshana, or like the seeing the Lord in the heart, and when Krishna was present personally.
Well, this happened also. The gopis, when Krishna left the Rasa Leela, looking for Radharani, and then the gopis started looking for Krishna, and Radharani and finally Krishna runs up to catches Radharani, and then she gets up on his shoulders and he's carrying her, and she becomes very proud and thinks, oh, now I have conquered him. And then when Krishna perceives that, he purposely walks on a trail where there's a branch of a tree, and he lets her get stuck on the tree, and he keeps walking. And now the gopis find her, and she's also confused what happened to Krishna. She thought she had conquered him. So now they're all looking for Krishna. And at that point, Krishna appears before them as Narayana. And of course they bow down and everything, but they're not interested in Narayana at all. And they can't wait to get past him, to keep looking for Krishna. So this anticipation of seeing Krishna is the same as meeting him. In fact, it's even more intense than meeting him. And if you read also the prayers of the Goswamis, you'll see in the last prayer that they're always seeking Krishna. Not that they, because when you're always seeking Krishna, it's stronger than actually meeting Krishna. So that's called Vipralamba Bhava. This love, ecstatic love in separation from the Lord. See? So these are all things that are advanced states of Krishna consciousness that are impossible for materialistic people to understand. And as long as we have material desires, it'll be impossible for us to understand it also, until we replace all those desires with desires only to please Krishna. So these are mysterious things, right? There's an internal internet system that's in our heart. That's mysterious, right? And then you can see in real time what's happening in the spiritual world 24 hours a day. This is all mysterious. You know, who would believe that such a thing is possible? Right? They don't even believe there's a spiritual world. They don't believe that there's God, right? How are they going to understand that there's a different type of television that's showing the pastimes of the Lord? So you see, that's why it's using the word mysterious. It is a mystery. Sanjay also had that vision, right? Vyasadeva also had that vision. And Arjuna also had that vision, right? And you see it in all the different parts of the Shastras. But did you ever realize it? That's the thing, you know. Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, by the way, this is also explained in 3rd Canto, Chapter 1, verse number 24, where it says, that there are still many devotees of the Lord lingering there in ecstasy in search of Krishna and his childhood associates, the gopis. It is not that such devotees meet Krishna face to face in that tract of land. He's talking about Vrindavan. He says, but a devotee's eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as his seeing him personally. How this is so cannot be explained, but it is factually realized by those who are pure devotees of the Lord. Philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and that the very idea of searching for him in Vrindavana in pure God consciousness gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. Such devotees of the Lord see him face to face at every moment, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 538, Premanjana Churita. And then there's an alternate translation of it. Those who are in ecstasy of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shamsundara Krishna, see him always in their hearts, due to love and devotional service rendered to the Lord. Both Vidura and Uddhava were such elevated devotees, and therefore they both came to the bank of the Yamuna and met each other. So it's right there. We already read it, Canto 3, Chapter 1, verse number 24. And it's saying that the devotee has more, let's say, ecstatic feelings of love for Krishna by searching for him than actually meeting him. And that's what the gopis also manifested when they were searching for Krishna in the forest after he left the Rasa Lila dance. Haribol. All glories to Prabhupada ki jai.
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma
Bandhu Mui Savadhana Mate
Brahmui Savadana Mate
Jahara Prasade Bhai E Bhava Doriya Jai
Jara Prasade Bhai Eva Vatoriya Jai
Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoy De
Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite
Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Goriya Kya
Guru Mukha
Arna Gori Ho Mane Aja Sri Guru Charane Rati ऐसे उत्तमा गति जय प्रसाद पूरे सर्वा आशा चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते वेद गाय जहाँ चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अदमा जनर बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अदमा जनर बंधु लोकनाथ लोके राजीवाना हाँ हाँ प्रभु गुरु दोया देहो मोरे पादा छाया हाँ हाँ प्रभु गुरु दुया देहो मोरे पद छाया ये बेजास गुसुक त्रिभुवना प्रभुपाद पतित पावना जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada.
जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा
Jaya Guru Deva Jaya, Guru Deva Jaya, Guru Deva Jaya, Guru Deva.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निधि नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशधारिणे पाश्चात्यादिशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरा भक्त वृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरा भक्त वृंद Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Gandamaya ki jai, Jamuna Maya ki jai, Amira Bhakti ki jai, Nitai Gaur Puri, all glory to Samudra, all glory to glories to Shikuru, Shikuru, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Bhavan ki jai, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Jai Saraswati Devi, Guruvani Pacharani Nirvi, Say Saswami. The Lotus Feet, or spiritual master, are the only way by which you can attain the pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of grace. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection and fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic Brahma emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and Lord and master of devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread throughout all the three worlds. We take shelter of your feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.